And that we have seen again and again and again. And I think in a moment like this, when people want fighters and they feel, remember, Donald Trump said he was going to disrupt the system. He was going to make things cheaper. He was going to take Americans out of foreign wars. We're in foreign wars. Things are more expensive. And the system seems as corrupt, if not more corrupt, than it's ever been. And so the question is, who is the person who is the opposite of that? And like, that is not a Lindsey Graham.
No. No, a very interesting development there last night. Molly, always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you, my friend.
Whether you agree with this analysis or not, one thing is clear. The debate around Trump's leadership and public appearances isn't going away anytime soon. Supporters see confidence and authenticity, while critics see something very different. The real question is, how much do these moments actually influence voters? Let me know where you stand in the comments, and don't forget to follow for more political insights and analysis.
In California, no, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. Let me tell you, it's 4 days, and they aren't even close to coming up with.
That's how they count.
You know why they're doing that? Because they're cheating on the election.
Do you have evidence to support that?
All I have to do is look.
There is no evidence to support President Donald Trump's claim that California's June 2nd primary elections were, quote, rigged, unquote. It does take California longer than other states to count ballots, but that's because the vast majority of votes are cast via mail-in ballots, which counties send to all active registered voters. Mail-in ballots are accepted so long as they are, quote, postmarked on or before Election Day, unquote, and received, quote, no later than 7 days after Election Day, unquote, according to state law. That alone causes some delay. According to the California Secretary of State's website, quote, California has the largest number of registered voters in the nation, more than 23 million registered voters. Ensuring that all valid votes cast by eligible voters are accurately processed and counted takes time, unquote. Get the full story at factcheck.org.
The facts tell one story, while the accusations tell another. California's vote counting process has worked this way for years. Yet claims of election fraud continue to spark controversy. So, who do you believe, the evidence or the allegations? Drop your opinion in the comments below.
What evidence have you seen to show that there has been widespread fraud that has caused this election to be stolen, in the words of the president?
Well, if you look over the years, what our concerns have been is on this wide scale where they mail ballots to everybody, and then they have vote harvesting in California. And other states do this too, not many. But in states that do, I think where you really have a lot of voter anger, and you're seeing it in Los Angeles right now, even in their mayor's race, where you had wide changes after election night in the results of an election. And for days and weeks later, they just keep finding ballots until the election results change. That, look, whether you can prove fraud or not, it does undermine voter integrity in the vote, and whether they keep going through with that process. Most states have their elections resolved on election night.
But do you have any evidence that those ballots that are being counted were illegal in any way?
I think
this exchange highlights a debate that continues to divide voters across America. On one side are concerns about delayed election results and public confidence in the process. On the other is the question journalists keep asking: where is the actual evidence of widespread fraud? Regardless of where you stand politically, trust in elections remains one of the most important issues in any democracy. What's your take on this discussion? Let me know in the comments.
Trying to steal the gubernatorial and LA mayoral elections. In a post to Truth Social, President Trump comparing the election process to a third world country, saying the biggest difference is they count their votes much faster. They don't wait 7 days to tell you who won, rigging the election during each and every one of them. But the president provided no evidence to back these unfounded claims. California Secretary of State Shirley Weber's office countering those claims, saying votes go through numerous verification steps, including signature verification, tabulation, audits, and reporting of results to their office. Experts say in a state of more than 23 million registered voters, it's simply a process that takes time.
That's the law. It's nothing fraudulent. It's nothing untoward. The reason it's taking a long time is that the people counting the ballots take their time matching signatures, doing exactly what the kinds of people who criticize the system say ought to be done.
First Assistant U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley announcing that his
Election integrity remains one of the most debated issues in American politics. While some leaders argue that delayed results create suspicion and reduce public confidence, election officials and experts insist that thorough verification is exactly what protects the voting process. The question is, should speed be the priority, or should accuracy come first?
Not possible for Spencer Pratt to have lost the LA runoffs after the big lead he had. Third world nation, rigged elections. And also, not long ago, Speaker Johnson also raised sort of vague doubts about California. California is an outlier in terms of how long it takes to count votes. But why do results change there? And is there an opening for fraud?
For voters, it's important to realize that for the election professionals conducting our elections, it's about the process, not the outcome of the election. So while it's true that California has the longest certification period based on their state's law, in every state in the nation, there's a period of time after Election Day where the election officials are checking to make sure that all eligible ballots are in fact correctly adjudicated, that they're counted if they're supposed to be counted, and if they shouldn't be counted, that they are kept from the final tabulation. So in California, it doesn't really take that much longer than the rest of the nation. On election night, the press project who they think the winner will be. But when the elections are close, we pay closer attention to the process in those days after election. There's a lot of discussion about, well, why can't it be like Florida? Well, the truth of the matter is, in Florida, they're also counting ballots after Election Day. But unless the race is close, people are not paying as close of attention. So what's really important here to understand is that part of the reason it takes a while is because of the security of the system. And it's not so much that it's open.
This debate goes beyond a single election. It's really about trust. Some people see delayed results and immediately become suspicious. Others argue that taking extra time to verify ballots is exactly what makes elections secure. The question is simple. Would you rather have faster results or more accurate results? Share your thoughts in the comments and join the conversation.
Look at what's happening in California.
To that?
It's
The
4
Republicans
days.
are doing well in
California. It's no, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. Let me tell you, it's 4 days. And they aren't even close to coming up with it.
That's how they count.
You know why they're doing that? Because they're cheating on the election.
Do you have evidence to support
all
that?
I have to do is look.
That was President Trump yesterday before he walked out of an interview with Meet the Press. He provided no evidence of wrongdoing in California's elections. However, some conservatives are criticizing the amount of time it takes to count votes in California.
Well, I just have to tell you that that is a regular accusation that is made when one is losing. We have heard that accusation before.
Does our process in California need to speed up?
California's process needs to be accurate.
And that vote count continues. Actually, over my shoulder, you can see people that are doing the extraction process.
This is where the debate gets interesting. Critics argue that taking days or even weeks to count ballots raises questions about transparency. Election officials, however, say that verifying signatures and checking every ballot carefully is exactly what protects the integrity of the vote. So, what matters more, in your opinion? Getting election results faster, or making sure every valid vote is counted accurately?
Trump has now taken to social media. He's accusing the Democrats of trying to steal the LA mayoral race and the California gubernatorial race. And he also says an investigation into the election is underway. So take a look. Trump wrote on Truth Social last night saying, quote, "There's big cheating by the Democrats in California under investigation by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles. Why the vote counting delay?" Now, that claim about the investigation is unsubstantiated. He's also called out the use of mail-in ballots and says the Democrats are holding up the vote tallying, which both those statements are currently without merit. He's been making claims about California's elections since before Tuesday. Now, Governor Gavin Newsom has responded online saying, quote, "Trump is lying about California again. Time to take the phone away from Grandpa and put him to sleep." The delay in ballot counting is not a surprise here. According to the primary election website, ballots are still being processed and will continue to be counted through what's called the canvass period, which ends July 3rd. The Secretary of State must certify the results on July 10th.
Election controversies often create more questions than answers. While some leaders point to delays in vote counting as a reason for concern, election officials say those delays are built into the process to ensure every ballot is verified and counted correctly. The real debate isn't just about this election. It's about trust in the system itself. What do you think? Does a longer count make elections more secure, or does it create unnecessary doubt?
So you're saying it's rigged like the president? I'm not saying it's rigged. I'm saying it stinks to high heaven, and everybody knows that. Let's remove the appearance of impropriety. Let's have what a concept. Let's have votes on an election the day of the election.
Now, just as President Trump is saying that the elections in California were stolen without providing any evidence whatsoever, we are hearing his closest Republican allies on Capitol Hill starting to echo some of those claims.
But what evidence is there to prove that there was rigged? Look, some of these efforts are so diabolical and so far upstream it is impossible to prove. But I think everybody knows instinctively something is wrong here. And that's a concern.
Now, Republicans say this has nothing to do with the fact that they are on the wrong side of the mayoral race in Los Angeles and the fact that the governor's race could also turn against them. They say it is a larger issue with California.
What our concerns have been is on this wide scale where they mail ballots to everybody and then they have vote harvesting in California. And other states do this too. Election.
Just counting the
and
ballots
for days
that came
and
in
weeks
legally?
later, they just keep finding ballots until the election results change. Look, whether you can prove fraud or not, it does undermine voter integrity in the vote.
But there is some pushback within the ranks over those claims of a stolen election, including from Kevin Kiley, who just until recently was a longtime moderate Republican. He has now become an independent, trying to hang on to his seat in California. He says those claims of a stolen election are flat wrong.
No, I haven't seen any evidence of any sort of, systematic fraud or anything like that. But what I do think is unacceptable is just how long it takes us to count votes.
Now that you've watched this entire story, the real question isn't just about California, Donald Trump, or this particular election. The bigger question is about trust. Should election results be announced as quickly as possible? Or is it more important to take extra time to verify every ballot and ensure that every valid vote is counted? Some people believe delays create suspicion and weaken public confidence, while others argue that accuracy and security should always come first, even if it means waiting longer for final results. This debate continues to divide voters across the country, and there are strong opinions on both sides. So I'd love to hear your perspective. If you were responsible for running an election, what would you prioritize? Speed, accuracy, or a balance of both? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's have a respectful discussion. If you found this video informative and want more fact-based political analysis, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss future updates. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I'll see you in the next video.